Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to another session of Brainwashing Yourself to Be Debt Free, brought to you by Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And that's what we're going to do today. In fact, that's what we do pretty much in every single video. And in fact, I have over 1,300 videos on this channel, over 1,300. That's why I'm so good at paying off debt on Excel. It's so easy, right? And that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and get started. First step to paying off debt is creating a budget. You have your income, you have your expenses, and then you have your leftover checking and savings, right? And for someone who makes 8,000 a month, that's probably about 140,000-ish, somewhere around there a year. And having $460 left over after making 8,000 a month, that's kind of, that's kind of tough, right? It's not so easy. And the reason why we only have so little left over is because simply we're making too many minimum payments on our debts, right? Six credit cards, an auto loan, a student loan, a mortgage, and on top of that, we have to pay for our personal expenses, food, gas, insurance, and all that other stuff. So we're going to say it's on average $2,000 a month, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this and say, hey, even with the same income and the same expenses, maybe we can have a much better outcome than this. Okay. And the first step to doing what we call the velocity method, which we used to call something else till the state of Illinois said you can't do that in connection with someone else's YouTube channel and business, but we'll call it the velocity method, is we're not going to save money. So, you know what's really crazy? People are shocked when you don't do this, right? And the difference between the left side, the average American banking style, and the velocity method is on the left side, okay, we're going to try to save money. So what we do is we pay our bills and we see the checking account as the final destination of our money. Whereas with this method right here, the checking account is just a temporary stop. We get paid, it goes to our checking account, and then we dump it into something called the line of credit. And if you don't know what a line of credit is, it's basically a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and then use it over and over again, right? That's essentially what a line of credit is. And so here, okay, we're gonna say we have $100,000 home equity line of credit. Now, why a home or a line of credit instead of, let's say, a credit card? Well, and a credit card is technically a form of line of credit. The reason why we use a personal home equity line of credit is because it is the only financial tool that the bank offers where I can dump all my entire paycheck in it and then immediately get it back like the next second, right? We can't do that with credit cards. If we want to do that, we might have to even do a cash advance, and that's just a pain in the butt. And also with loans, we definitely cannot overpay a loan, expect to get the money back immediately because the nature of a loan is a one-way street, right? So yeah, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna strategically move some debt into the line of credit and then put our entire paycheck in and get our expenses out. It's really simple. Like you know how simple it is. It's so simple. And the only reason why I call this a brainwashing session is because your upbringing and socialization prevents you from doing this. Right? That's the hardest thing. I've seen comments like that from other people because in order to do this, basically your checking account is going to zero, and that's scary for a lot of people. But the way we treat our checking account is that the checking account is a temporary stop for our money. It's not the final destination. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to strategically move some debts into a line of credit. Now, you might see here a free and clear line of credit, right? Now, don't get the idea that you can go to a bank with this amount of income and $400 left over and request a $100,000 line of credit, right? Not going to happen because banks don't lend money to people who need it. They don't lend money to people who need it. And I'm trying to brainwash you all, right? You know how the bank works. They don't lend money to people who need it. Here's another brainwashing session. Look at me brainwashing you. You got these swirly brainwash eyes. Banks don't lend money to people who need it. And then I think I made another post today. Let me reload this. Yeah. Banks don't lend money to people who need it. Well, AI forgot to put money. They say no to you. And the reason I say this is because don't get, the wrong idea that you can get a line of credit at this time. The reason why we teach that of a hypothetical scenario that's not going to happen is to show you, if you known this from the beginning, how powerful it would have been if you had a line of credit, but the bank ain't going to give it to you. Right? So let's go ahead and strategically move debt into a line of credit using something called the cash flow index. And if you don't know what that is, it's just simply a formula of the amount of debt that you have divided by the payment. And then it gives you this arbitrary number, which is you can kind of think of as like a ranking system. And the lower the number, especially below 50, you get more bang for your buck in terms of how much cash flow you get, especially when we move that debt into a line of credit, right? So this is what we're gonna do. So 5, 8, 15, 27, 30, 7, and then I'm going to go ahead and sum this up. So let's go ahead and do that. And that's $92,000 of credit card debt, right? And so what we have to just emphasize is that the bigger the number, that's the one we want to pay off last, or the biggest number is the one we want to pay off last. Why is that? It's because we have to literally give someone $250,000 for only $1,100 of cash flow. Whereas we could simply just pay, you know, this credit card 5 and credit card 1, and we'll probably get more cash flow than this $250,000 mortgage, right? So we have to think about bang for a buck. Now, let's get these low cash flow index numbers, which is essentially the credit cards, and then move them into the line of credit. Okay, so we're just doing a debt transfer here. And then, all right, this is the crazy part. Guess what happens to your payments with the credit cards? Oh no, they go to 0. And actually it's oh no for the banks, not oh no for you. They go to 0, and then magically we turn this $460.47 into $3,500 of cash flow. In fact, let's take a look here. Yeah, $460 of checking and savings over to $3,500 of cash flow. And that was easy, right? That was super duper easy. And we did not make more money. The income was the same. All we did was shuffle some debt. And then the final step is that now we're not going to save any money. Remember, our checking account is a temporary stop for our money. And then we're going to dump all of our paycheck into the line of credit as an overpayment. Think about that as like overpaying a credit card, but you have immediate access to your money. That's the beauty of a line of credit. And then you take your expenses out, right? You got to pay your bills. Okay. You know, bills ain't going away. You got to pay these bills, and then you just rinse and repeat over and over again. And the balance will go down about 3,500. And so if you want to calculate this, you just go do this, and minus our cash flow. So what's our cash flow? It's 3515.47. Okay. So if you want to see what the next balance is previous month's balance, previous month's interest minus our cash flow. And so what we're going to also do is calculate the interest, and that interest is going to be based on the average daily balance, multiply it by the interest rate, 0.08, and then divide by 12. Okay, and then you see that, yes, we are being charged the interest for using the line of credit, but not the biggest deal in the world. And let's go ahead and do this right here. And then we see that in month 29, this was paid off. Right, so a little bit less than 3 years, we paid off that credit card debt. Woohoo! All right, so that's 92K in 29 months. So 92K, 29 months, and then we're gonna go ahead and do this. Okay, and then now, so we have the auto loan, student loan, and the mortgage, right? Auto loan, student loan, and the mortgage. So in 92 months, let's go ahead and do this. Oopsie, 92, it's 29, right? Yeah, 29 months, 92K. That's weird. It's like inverted, 92, 29. Must be some kind of a special signal. All right, so now we have 3 loans left. See how easy it was? Credit cards and loans, right? 3 loans left, and then now we're going to pay them off. Now, the average person, I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to just be like, highest interest rate. I must focus on the highest interest rate. And then, yeah, you could do that, but make it easy on yourself, right? Because we're going to focus on this 3% interest rate loan. And why is that? It's because we're going to apply that cash flow index formula, right? Pay 24 grand for $800 of cash flow, or 32 grand for 464. I'm going to pay it to 24 grand, get this cash flow, and then apply it to this loan after this is all done. So let's go ahead and do that. So the 24 grand in cash flow, I'm going to go ahead and do this, Control V, bam. All right, so plus 24626.02, and then this is going to be $826, and that's $4,000 of cash flow. And then this is just going to be, right, so now it's going to be 4342.03. And then I'm going to copy and paste, and then this is going to be 35 months, all right? So 35 months, it's all paid off, right? So now, 35 months, in less than 3 years, we paid off that 46,000 auto loan. Holy balls. 35 months, and then it's going to be 92 plus 46, and that's going to be $138,000, right? So 138K, not kilometers, 138K, 35 months, and then we have the student loan and the mortgage. And so now in 35 months, what's the balance of the student loan, right? So 31 grand. And then now here's the thing. If we have to be careful about these amortized loans, especially with the cash flow indexes, we'll say higher than 50, right? One of the things you might hear on the internet is always move a loan into a line of credit. And we don't always want to do that, right? For this example, because the interest rate is very similar from the loan to the line of credit, I'll say we'll move it, but we might actually be putting some money on the table. But it won't be that much, right? So let's move this 31 grand into the line of credit. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. And student loan be gone. Right? So plus 31055.41. And then, okay, so now the student loan is gone. So that's an extra $464 of cash flow. We just put 0 and $4,806.46. Okay, look, now we just got to update this. And all right, so 4806.46. And then now it's 42 months. All right, so now I'm going to do this. 42 months, and now let's just do this 42 months, and this is going to be 138 plus 40, and that's 178K. All right, so now let's go ahead and do this 178K, 42 months. Yeah. All right, that was easy. And then now we just took month 42. Look, I just made it so easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is super easy. Now, last step, okay, is that I'm just going to talk directly about, using a line of credit for loans, because I think more people are interested in that than doing extra payments. Now, if you can do extra payments, just go ahead and do it, right? But the only guideline I would have to say with using a line of credit to pay a loan is that if you have a relatively high cash flow index and you have a relatively low interest rate, and the interest rate is lower than the line of credit, you don't want to move that entire loan into a line of credit. Now, you might say, why is that? It's because if you move that entire loan to a line of credit, what does that mean? You have a very big balance with small itty bitty amount of cash flow. And usually, in the right situation, so for example, with the auto loan, even at 3%, we're getting $800 of cash flow for that loan, which is why it was okay, right? But we're paying $233,000, moving from 4 to 8 and getting itty bitty amount of cash flow. But this is what people don't know. Okay, I'm going to tell you what people don't know. When you pay off, all right, the loan into a line of credit in small chunks or pieces, I like to call it sweeps, then the interest rate almost makes no difference, right? And I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's take a look here. So let's just move $8,000 of the principal of the loan, and just kind of a rule of thumb I like to use is just whatever your income is. But the most important thing about this is that you pay off your mortgage last. Okay, so let me just move here. So plus 8000. And then we're going to do this. And then we see that it got paid off in a month. And then this get paid off in 2 months. Right? So this is so easy. Like, look at that. All right. So now we're just moving $8,000 over every time, into the line of credit, and then just dumping our paycheck in expenses out. Now, I just want to show you something when you do this. Okay. So let me go ahead and put in the updated income and expenses. So what's our income right now? It's $8,000. And our expenses is everything except for the loan we're trying to pay off, which is $2,000. 2000. Okay. All right. Actually, this is interesting. See, like, people focus way too much about how much are you going to put into the line of credit. And if you take a look here, 10,000 and 8,000 made no difference. In fact, 8,000 is just a little bit higher, right? But I'm just going to pay 8,000 for now. So the current balance, let's just take a look at this. What is the current balance right now? It's 233,790.13. So 233,790.13. And so one thing I want to show is how little difference the interest rate matters within the line of credit. Now, if the interest rate of the line of credit is lower than the loan, then it's okay to move the entire loan to line of credit. So let's just say we had a 0% line of credit and we move that entire loan into a line of credit. Guess what? We're not paying any interest at all, right? That's obvious. But if I move this into an 8% line of credit, look at this, I'm paying 38 grand of interest. But amazingly, let's say I use an $8,000 sweep, not moving the whole loan into the line of credit, right? Look at that, 18 grand. And even if I use a 1% line of credit using this method, 16 grand, right? So yes, interest rate does matter, but kind of not really. Okay, so even if someone gives you a 1% line of credit here, $8,000 max, yeah, you can use it to kind of offset this 4% loan. But even if you were using like 8 or 15, it would not make that much of a difference. Okay, so at that time, a couple of grand and it's your last loan is just kind of a blip on the bank's balance sheet, right? But that's one way you can do it if you still want to kind of keep using your line of credit to even pay off the low interest amortized huge debts. But the most important thing is that you pay it off last, right? So let me just go here. So let me do 8%. So 3.6 years. So let me just do this right here. So I'm going to do 0, and then this is going to be 3.6 divided by 42 divided by 12 plus 3.6, and then that's going to be 7.1 years, and then we are debt free. Woohoo! All right, you got enough of that brainwashing for today? Yeah, that's good times. Okay, all right. So I'm trying to think of something witty to say, because I know I told you all last time that if you made it to the end of the video, just type in brainwashed. But I'm saying, is there any other phrase that I can use to let me know you made it to the end of the video? I got it. So if you want to let me know you made it to the end of the video, say brainwash confirmed. Brainwash confirmed. That's how you let me know you made it to the end of the video. All right, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.